All right. Welcome to the unprofessional, casual conference organizer chat that I've been doing. Um, I want to say welcome and thank you for taking the time. I'm going to try to say your name. I don't know if I'm going to pronounce it right. Let me know. But it's Hana Harencarova.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Okay, pretty close. All righty. And you are one of the organizers of Helvetic Ruby. Um, and I would just to start us off, I think you guys started in 2023, is that correct?
Exactly. We had a third edition this year.
Okay, awesome. Well, I would like to hear actually about that first one in 2023, how it came about, how it went, and yeah, just your memories of that first one.
Sure. I mean, there's a not huge but nice community about Ruby and Rails here in Zurich and Switzerland, and it was always pleasurable to meet the same people at the different conferences. Many of them I saw more outside of Switzerland than within of Switzerland when we met at the different Ruby or Rails events. And we were just casually talking that it would be nice to have something. Um, but you always need people who actually organize it, right? Like many people like the idea, but when there's work, you need people to back it up. And it was that Yuruko in the year before, I would expect. No, actually, it could have been 2023, where at Yuruko you have these city pitches. So Euroko is traveling conference, and every year it's somewhere else. And at the end of the conference, people who are willing to organize the next year, they like present the country. And there was also Andy Kroll, who already organizes Brighton Ruby, and he was like, "Don't vote for Brighton, but make your own." That was like a short message, and then we were like, "Yeah, why not?" And then it was three of us who decided to organize Helvetic Ruby. So the first year was organized with three people. And yeah, we all knew that we don't have that much time. So from the beginning, we were focused on what are the most important things to get the conference up and running. And we were like, okay, it's the first year, so we want to have a lineup soon in order for people to know what to expect. In order to have a lineup, we need the speakers and we need a venue and a date. So that was the first thing. We decided in which time we want to organize the conference. That was like October and November, so that we would have like half a year to prepare it, and selected possible venues. We ended up doing it in Bern, which is so all three of us were not living in Bern at that time, but we wanted something which is like more in the middle of Switzerland, or that it's not always like Zurich centered. So we find the location, we confirmed the date, opened CFV pretty early, and after that, we had a lineup and we were ready to announce the conference. We used Tito for ticketing, which made it really simple. And because we made many of the decisions with knowing that we want to focus on the most important things and we wanted to do the a lot of work upfront, it actually was pretty easy. Like we had like split responsibilities, which definitely helped too. Um, and yeah, it just worked really well.
Nice. What were your primary responsibilities in that first year?
Oh, that's a good question. Um, because that's changed over the years.
Uh,
So, um, location, like communication with the venue was definitely one of them. And sponsors was another one. Yes. And then Dimitar was doing speakers, and Mario was also working with sponsors. And then, yeah, I also set up the ticketing, and kind of all three of us were working on the website, updating it based on which part needed the updates.
mhm.
Yeah. And the budget was also like shared responsibility. And because it was the first conference, we started the planning that we would be able to run the conference with 80 people. But if we would have like 100 or 120, that's great. And everything above is like amazing. And we ended up having 180 attendees that first year. So what we did
Wow.
was like we had a really basic budget. So these are the things we want and need to pay, like a venue, and we wanted to pay for speakers. So we always pay travels and accommodation. And then we were like, okay, if we have more money, either from ticket sales or from sponsors, then we can also like provide more catering, right? We decided not to do lunch just because it's an organizational hassle.
Yes.
And so we were adjusting our spending as we saw how the ticket sales went, which also took a lot of pressure off, like having to reach some amount of tickets or some amount of sponsoring.
Yeah. How early were those ticket sales? You said you had about 6 months to plan this. Did you open up ticket sales right away after you got your venue, or how did you do that?
We opened up ticket sales, if I'm right, just after we published the lineup,
Okay.
which would feel like at least 4 months. I could have a look. Uh, yeah,
Yeah.
but I don't have it right now.
Nice. And was that 180, was that the max capacity of your venue, or was that just how many tickets you sold and you could have done more?
Yeah, the capacity was at that time 200 for
Okay.
that venue, but actually it was really good that we had less than 200 people,
Yeah.
uh, because it was really nice. It was a special venue with a very high ceilings in like an old building, but it was good
A
that it
lot.
wasn't
Yeah,
like
yeah.
full capacity. Yeah.
Yeah. How and so it was 180 people your first year. How many did you do this year? How many people were there?
So the next 2 years we had 150 and 150,
Okay.
approximately like plus minus like three. And
Gotcha.
so the first conference was in November 2023. And then we decided that we want to move it to spring because November was like the conference was nice, but it was also pretty cold outside.
Yeah.
So we said like, oh, this went well. Let's do another one in half a year. So for the second one, we actually had just a couple of months to organize it, but because we had everything set up,
Yeah.
the ticketing system, the form, the website, we already agreed on how we want the conference to work, how we do the CFP. So that actually also went pretty well.
Hmm.
The only thing is because we each year was in a different city, so each year we need to start the search for the location and for the
Hmm.
upper venue from the scratch pretty much.
Hmm.
Yeah, that keeps us busy. But that said, it was like a shorter time between the first and second edition, and also spring is pretty full of conferences. Like we really tried to avoid some clashes, but it's not fully possible and
Yeah.
things happening, yeah, in May.
Gotcha. Yeah. Um, That's cool. You said you were responsible for sponsors. How did you get sponsors that first year? When you're a brand new conference, maybe people don't know you or something. Did you already have people in your network, or were you just reaching out cold? How did you get sponsors?
Yeah. So first year it was two of us. It was me and Mario doing both sponsoring, and our biggest sponsors that year were actually all three local companies, so Swiss
Okay.
companies, which were part of the Ruby and Rails community. And we were surprised, like that went really well. I think also the last year there was the highest number of attendees. It was like, this is the first Helvetic Ruby, like you have the chance to attend the first of these just once, and it's just
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
And people could plan a long time upfront, so that helped. So the first year it was really like, oh, these companies want to support us. With the second year, it was a bit different because what we didn't realize was that for many of these companies, it was the same fiscal year. So because it was in a half year and not always they follow the same like the calendar year. And they were like, oh, that's nice, but we actually didn't
Right.
budget for this. And we were like, oh, okay. So the first year we had three big sponsors and a couple smaller ones. And the next 2 years it was the other way around. We had many or more smaller sponsors and we put it together like that. But from the beginning, we also wanted to cover main expenses from the ticket sales, which like gave us more safety and yeah. And some sponsors just so we did all what you mentioned. Like we had some people in a network. Those were primarily the Rails and Ruby companies within Switzerland. Then we also reached out like a cold emails to some companies which we knew they are in Switzerland and they are using Ruby or Rails. We also had App Signal from the beginning because I met them at the different conferences. And then, and some people or companies, they just send us an email and said, hey, this is nice. We want to sponsor you, which was really, really nice surprise.
Yeah, nice. Nice. I was looking on your website and I saw that you had like the different sponsor levels, and then you have like travel sponsors, which I assume are the companies paying for their speakers to come. And then you have partners, which listed like a couple different conferences. What was the partners? What is that?
Yes, so partners are usually other conferences and we cross promote announcements.
Okay,
So yeah,
gotcha.
I look there. Yes, we have like Friendly RB, Euroco, Baltic, Grusp and Ruby Community Conference for the last year. So it's basically about informing the wider Ruby community or community of that conference about the other event. Yeah,
Got
sometimes I think yeah there may have been like offers for discounted tickets, but I in at some point in these 3 years, but I don't know. And then there's the Swiss Dev Jobs. That was also more about marketing. So it's a platform which with job postings in Switzerland, and we have them as a partner, and they announce and inform about the conference in their newsletter and calendar and so.
Oh, that's cool. I like that. Actually, going off of that, what else have you done for marketing, and kind of what do you find works? What do you find doesn't work?
Yes. So marketing is definitely a field in which we could totally improve. So it's a thing which none of us really is very motivated to do that much. So we do try, and we do try to post at least the most important information, but I can't say that we did a lot of marketing. And it was even nicer that it still worked out. So
Right.
we got the information out and the people came. So that also lessened the pressure on us to do more marketing.
Yeah,
So yeah. What
gotcha.
also helped the first year for sure was that I was at a couple of conferences, like having my own talks, and then I just mentioned that we are also like doing this conference in Switzerland, and yeah, and then there were other people, just like word of mouth, who were kind of like promoting the conference, even though they were not organizers, but they were attendees and they were looking forward to it.
Yeah. Um, did you I lost what I had a question there. Um, had to do with something you said about marketing. Oh, I was going to ask what portion of your attendees, if you know, are like local to Switzerland versus from other countries.
Yes, and I have to say that we don't know.
Okay.
It's probably the information we may want to collect, but we always went the route that we collect as little information as we need,
Yeah.
which pretty much was just an email address and a name.
Gotcha.
Um,
Yep.
so we actually don't have these fancy stats.
Gotcha. Okay. Um, how do you, I know you said in the first year, um, it sounded like you said you just did CFP. Do you guys do any like invitations to speakers, or do you just do CFP? How do you guys determine speakers?
Yeah, that was really interesting because we did plan to invite like keynote speakers, but we also wanted to already open the CFP so that people have time. And then we got so many great proposals that we realized we actually don't need to another invite more people or specific people because we were very happy with the selection which we did.
Great.
And so we ended up, it was a plan to have a keynote speakers or like to invite keynote speakers. And
Mhm.
then we found out that we actually don't need it. And that was really nice. So we kept that and we always did just the CFP without direct invitations so far. But it could change. Like it's if we ever say, oh, we
Sure.
really want to invite this person and we feel up to that, then we still can. It's more like we didn't manage to do this before the CFP, and then we didn't need it. Yeah.
That's really cool. That's a another like simplification that I hadn't thought of really, where if you're, especially in your first conference, you're just trying to do things as simply as possible to take the pressure and the stress off. Just doing a CFP instead of trying to do like outreach to a bunch of speakers for, keynote. Um, actually, yeah, it simplifies it a little bit and might be a good route to go because the Ruby community has a lot of interest in speaking and CFPs are usually very, very successful. So that's cool. And you guys have done that every year.
Yes, yes, we
Nice.
did that every year. When opening the CFP, it was always important for us to reach like different groups of people.
Mhm.
So we made sure that we announced the CFP also on the main channels, like social channels, but also um, support or like motivate people from underrepresented groups or voices which are not always heard that much that they also submit talks. We
Mhm.
wanted to have a different range, so from like seasoned speakers we also wanted to have people who are just starting. So at the beginning we put together a list what criteria our selection, not like every talk, but what the final selection should look like, what we would like to see. And we try to fulfill all of them. It's not like we have to do like check marks if the selection works well. And even if it doesn't fulfill all of our wishes, then it's fine. I think every year it was like that, but we always had that in mind upfront. And it was important for us to have varied CFP. And we never actually run into the problem that we would have to adjust our selection based on the criteria because it was that was such a surprise, especially the first year, because I was fearing this moment a lot. Like, okay, selecting the lineup, it's three of us, we have like different opinions what we will do, and
Right.
I expected it will be like lengthy process with a lot of discussions, and
Yeah.
it ended up working out really well. So we started with like everyone did their pre-selection of
Hmm.
the talks. It was three of us, and then we compared, and there were a bunch of talks which all of us would like to see, and then
Hmm.
there were others which had like two people as a want to see and another person as like, yeah, this is okay, and then we just put them together, and then we looked at our criteria and we were like, oh, like this is fulfilled too, this too, and so we ended up having a great lineup without a lot of discussion, fulfilling what we wished for. So that was surprisingly easy, and I was very happy about that. But it was also, it's not always that simple. But
Hmm.
um, I think that was also because of the quality of the proposals, and that we discussed upfront how we want the lineup to look like or what are the talks we are looking for.
Yeah. And are you guys single day?
Yes, it's a
Okay.
one day, one track, is a or one day single track.
Okay, gotcha. And you have like 8 talks, I think, in that single day, something like that.
Yes, I think the first year it was we planned for 7 and then we selected 8.
Yeah.
And last 2 years it's really just 7.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, exactly. So it
Um,
was 7, and first year it was actually, yeah, it was 8. Hmm.
gotcha. What are the what are the perks of being a speaker at Helvetic Ruby? It's you said you pay for travel, so I'm assuming that's plane and hotel. Do you do anything else special for speakers?
I mean, we do speakers dinner
Mhm.
before the day before the conference, and we offer speakers that they can rehearse their talk with us, and we
Gotcha.
provide them feedback. And if they need any other support, then we are usually happy to provide that.
Awesome. Awesome. Um, what would you say is the hardest part about organizing a conference?
Hmm, that's a good question. Um,
Or the part where most people would trip up, especially on your first one?
okay. Um, I think what's important is just to think, try to think about everything and make sure that things work and be prepared. And
Mhm.
you always end up having to improvise one
Mhm.
thing or another, but being prepared helps reduce those and also helps that the attendees often don't realize. Like that happened a bunch of times that the catering either they forgot or they misunderstood or they brought something else or there were no people. But because we were kind of like ready that these things may happen, the attendees never realized that. And
Gotcha.
so that's really like planning helps a lot.
Right, right. Yeah, and it's hard to know what's going to go wrong before it goes wrong, but trying to have a good overall plan.
Yeah, yeah.
With,
So we try to just prepare everything up front. The organizers were 3 of us and later 2 of us. But
mm,
on the day of the conference, we always had like volunteers,
mm,
2 to 4, I think, last year, who helped us with registration or with technical, like putting mics on people and taking them down again. And delegating these types of responsibilities was really essential so that we can, like put off every fires which would.
yeah,
So we had people we can fully trust, and we knew that they will deal with whatever comes.
yeah.
That makes it also way easier.
Do you do anything like having backup speakers or anything like that?
No,
No? Okay. Gotcha.
no, and we didn't need it yet, but I'm pretty sure that we would find some, if it would have to be. But
Yeah.
we, yeah.
Yeah, that's my biggest fear is like last minute a speaker's like, my like something happened, I can't come, and we have to find a backup in the at the last minute. But yeah. Um, what do you think makes a good conference? Is there anything that you try to focus on? Because that's what you think makes a good conference.
I think again it's a mix of things. So first we really want that people feel welcome and safe, and that the talks are for a wide range of audience.
Mhm.
Either it can be the topic itself, or it can be a talk which is structured that the beginning is accessible or it makes sense for all levels, like also juniors and like mid-career levels. And then at the end there may be like more of a deep dive, so that people, if they come from any backgrounds or with different years of experience, that they feel like they learned something and that it was worth coming. um, networking was always important for us. So we actually have breaks after every talk, and those breaks are usually at least 20 minutes. So this gives opportunity for people to first to ask follow-up questions to the speakers, but also like catch up with other attendees and take a break and come back refreshed for another talk. That we also wanted to have like a balanced lineup, and that the talks are about again like different topics for different audiences from different people.
Gotcha. Yeah. So it's like different, like they're not all like technical talks. You have some like, programming philosophy or like career kind of advice, kind of those kind of different categories.
Yes, we usually aim for, but usually it again always depends on the proposals, but like to having like two non-technical talks and five technical talks, even though
Okay. Yeah.
I think not this year, but the year before we somehow ended up with technical talks, almost all of them, if not all of them, and then we were like, oh, how this happened? But they were really good, right?
Yeah.
But we also had like a startup talk the first year or about startups. So yeah.
Nice. Um, can you think of anything that you did at any of the conferences in the last 3 years that at the time when you were planning the conference, uh, it was something small and you didn't really think anything about it, but later people were like, "Oh wow, we loved that little piece," and you didn't expect that response.
Okay. Um, I mean, as I said, we did try to think of most, like, all we need to make it work and happen. And but I felt like, yeah, this works well as normally. But it surprised me that people were like, oh, like everything went as expected, even in your first year. Like it was really professionally organized. I was like, of course, like what else do you expect? So that was surprising to me that apparently people were also expecting that maybe things won't work out that well because it's the
Right,
first
right.
edition. So it didn't feel like we needed to put some extra effort, but yeah, that's again, I think we were well prepared, and it was important for us that we think of all the things people, speakers, and attendees, and the talk needs, and also that we stay on time. I mean, it's in
Uh-huh.
Switzerland. It's not just a Swiss thing, but we were able to maintain that, and having those breaks as buffers always gives us like a new start.
Yeah, yeah. Um, as an attendee, do you have a favorite conference or a favorite conference experience outside of Helvetic Ruby?
Ooh, that's a tough question too. But without a lot of thinking, definitely my first Ruby conference is a very memorable one, and it was the Euroco in Helsinki in 2020. Oh, was it 2023? I think so. I would have to check. The Helsinki, the Euroco in Helsinki.
Nice.
Was my first Ruby conference, and there were like 700 people. And I ended up having a lightning talk, which I didn't plan for at all. So, and it was my first conference after a long time. Before
Okay.
I wasn't attending programming or Ruby conferences, but psychology conferences. So
Okay.
yeah, that really stayed. But there were many, many others which I like, and I think I would just list all of them. So,
Yeah, yeah. So I thought you had been going to conferences for longer because I saw that you have done quite a few talks. So you must have been speaking a lot in the last couple of years. Do you have a favorite speaking experience?
um, yeah. So let me correct. The Yoruko in Helsinki was in 2022.
Okay.
Mm, yeah, and so my favorite speaking experience. So that's another tough one. Uh, yeah.
or maybe just a most memorable one, like conference that you spoke at that you're like, oh wow, they put extra care into speakers or they did something unique around the speaking experience.
I mean, definitely, it was a lightning talk which I had at Brighton Ruby, and it was one of my first talks too at a Ruby conference. I felt very well taken care of, in terms of information and a speaker's
Yeah,
dinner, and like I didn't have to search for my accommodation because that was also taken care of by the conference. Um, yeah, that was nice. And actually, Brighton Ruby served as an example for us in many aspects, like how we
yeah,
want to treat um, speakers and
uh,
attendees, and the general idea of a shared experience during one day. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Andy Kroll and Brighton Ruby are really, really up there in quality of conference for sure. And a good example to take. Um, what is there anything that you're especially proud of or something that you think is really cool about Helvetic Ruby that maybe other conferences don't have?
Well, as I mentioned, we really try to bring together different groups of programmers and people, and I think we are pretty successful. And we see it first in the lineup, but also in the attendees. And also this year, we had a bunch of parents who came to the conference with their like little kids, and I
Mhm.
was very happy to see that because often, being a parent myself, I know how hard it is to continue taking part in some of the adult activities when you have a baby. And
Yeah,
it means even more for those people that they can. And I was really super happy to see that they felt welcomed and comfortable to do that. It's not that
yeah,
it's always easy for the parents to do this, but it's better
sure.
to attend with a kid than not attend at all.
Did you
Yeah.
guys have childcare or was just a
No, no,
environment that they felt like they could
yes.
bring their kids and make it work?
Yeah.
That's cool. Because childcare is I kind of looked into this a little bit and it's hard to get that set up and then you don't know if people are going to even use it or not. But just saying like, hey, you can bring your kids. There's nothing wrong with that. Um, I feel like that's a cool uh maybe like norm to promote that hey it's an environment that you can bring your kids if you need to and maybe they'll get bored but if the talks are only 30, 40 minutes and you have breaks in between maybe that's an environment that you could bring your kids to and maybe they might learn something maybe they might get into programming.
Yeah. Like usually all those were rather small, like under 1 year. So they either
Yeah,
sleep or are happy, or especially when they're both parents there, then they
yeah,
sometimes just take turns, and if the baby or the kid needs something, they take it out of the hall, and the other
yeah.
other parent can continue watching, and then they swap. It's not expected that the kids would sit there silently for the
Right, right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
talks, but finding ways how that can work is always nice.
That's cool though. That's cool. Yeah, I hadn't heard uh much about that, but I like that. Um, okay. Is there anything that you wish you could do better? Anything that you guys are trying to improve, or just something that you wish you could do better at Helvetic Ruby?
Again, without having a really thought through answer, I think every year we did provide some community tickets, so heavily discounted tickets for people early in career or people who wouldn't be able to attend otherwise. And we always had some of them, but we had to kind of also like reach to different communities. So I think one part in which we could still improve would be to communicate this to people who would benefit from it, like more or better to the wider community. But the
Yeah.
thing is, often, as we know when traveling to conferences, that the conference ticket is usually still the cheapest part. Like it does help,
Yeah, yeah.
especially if people travel to Switzerland, then the travel, and especially the accommodation, is what's like the most costly, or then also like food and just being there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it helps a lot, but it can't always like take away the financial burden from the people.
Right. That's a, yeah. There's all these different kinds of marketing that you have to do almost. There's like marketing to just average engineers that you want to buy regular tickets and come to the conference. Then there's the marketing of the CFP, so marketing to people that you want to speak. And then there's marketing of like the different types of tickets, like your community tickets. There's marketing to the sponsors. There's like all these different ways that, or different people, groups of people that you want to reach. Um, yeah. Do you do any, you're in a different city every year, and then this is something that I'm thinking about. Like, I'm trying to make this conference as accessible as possible. And I would love to for local people to come because that's like the cheapest and also kind of the best experience when you don't have to. I mean, it's fun to travel if you have the time and the money, but to get the conference experience in your town is also really nice because just meeting people is a huge part of conferences for me. So did you guys do any like outreach in the cities where you have the conference? Like, do you reach out to like any schools or anything like that? That's kind of something that I'm thinking about.
Yeah, so we didn't do schools. We did because so Switzerland is not that huge, and so we kind of like treat Switzerland as one place, and we
Uh-huh.
did reach out to the Swiss community. What is that Switzerland has a different speaking parts. So there's like German speaking part, and then we also reached out to the French speaking part, especially. So the first year was in Bern, which is German speaking, but closer. Second was in Zurich, which is also German speaking. And the third one was in Geneva, which is French speaking. And the nice thing is, even that between Zurich and Geneva, it's like 3 hours train ride. It's still some people do it like a day conference, you know. So they
Yeah.
travel from different places of Switzerland, and because it's so small and the train, the public transportation, especially the trains, are so good, you can just go in the morning, and if you want to go in the evening, you can, or just stay a night.
Yeah.
But to answer your original question, we did reach out to the communities. We didn't reach out to schools. I think one of the reasons we were really focused on people who already work with Ruby, because the talks are very Ruby oriented. Not that we wouldn't welcome other people, but we thought that's really our target group, or the people who are interested most. And here in Switzerland, I don't know how it's else, but they don't teach Ruby. And I think in generally at universities they don't teach Ruby that much,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
people don't know about it. But what we did do for a couple of years, we had Levagon bootcamp, which does teach Ruby and Rails, and so we also reached to that community and we offered them community tickets. So that was kind of like it wasn't a school, but it was place where we could reach people who just started programming.
Yeah. And you have some experience teaching in boot camps, right?
Yes, I was teaching for Levagon.
Gotcha. Do you have are there any like Switzerland Ruby meetups?
Yes, they are. They
Okay.
happen 2 to 4 times per year usually, and they
Okay.
also happen at a different. So there's one which is happening periodically in German speaking part. This is the one which happens every couple months, and then there's one in French speaking part, and I think they were doing like every month or every second month, like they did more events. So yeah. And that those were our main contact points at the
Right.
beginning. And there's also like a Slack for Rails community or Ruby Rails community. So that's another way how we reached the people.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Cool. Um, okay, I think I asked most of my questions here. I guess my final question would be do you think I missed anything? Is there any advice that you would give to people organizing a conference? Anything that we didn't go over here?
Yeah. I think it's more reiterating on what we discussed, and what really worked well for us was focus on the most important things and keep it simple.
Yeah,
And that it wasn't such a big deal to organize a conference, and it was really nice experience.
awesome.
People say, like, of course it's a lot of work, and why don't you have more organizers? Like there are surely people who would say, and I'm like, no, that's not how it works, because
Yeah.
we use the help of other people on the day of the conference. That's where we really need it. But keeping the decision maker team small
Reduces complexity.
a lot, and also the burden of communicating and delegating and making sure that like the information and the things are done in a way how you think they should be done. So
Yeah,
that was something which worked well for us to have like small core team and then a bit extended team during the conference.
gotcha. Yeah. Awesome. Well, have you started planning for Helvetic Ruby 2026 yet?
Yes, and actually we didn't announce it, but I think it would be time. So if you give me a minute, I'll
Yeah,
find
yeah,
the
yeah.
find the date, and which again will help us to finally announce it. Uh, so, ta-da. Okay. So, Helvetic Ruby 2026 will take place on Friday, on 20th of November in Zurich.
Okay, nice. Awesome. Awesome. And do you have a venue yet?
Yes. I mean, without a venue, that's the thing. We first
Oh, okay.
always confirmation from the venue,
Okay.
because um, that's like crucial
Yeah.
to have data. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. True. Very true. Awesome. All righty. Well, good luck with organizing your next year. And thank you for your time and sharing your knowledge. And yeah, I hope to one day make it to some European conferences, hopefully to Helvetic Ruby. It's hard to like talk with all these different conference organizers and learn about their conference, and now I want to go to all of them. But yeah, it's been good.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for organizing this podcast series. It's really, really great to hear about other people's experiences with conferences. And
Yeah.
obviously, you're always welcome. And there's so many conferences happening. We discussed that recently,
Yeah.
which is really nice. But also, maybe you want to spend a year in Europe and then you can like do
Right.
conference hopping.
Yeah.
No, it's not that easy, right?
Yeah. Alrighty. Hopefully. Maybe. Maybe. All right. Thank you so much. And yeah, I hope we talk again.
Yeah, thank you and see you around.
See ya.